This case is shocking. Obviously, it's not every day that a LAPD detective is arrested for a cold case murder, let alone a female detective, and that the circumstances of the case were so salacious, so sensational, so many surreal turns, a love triangle. The case was on a knife's edge between being solved and never being solved for most of its history.
I'm crazy.
As the evidence in the case came out, it wasn't really a whodunit, but how she got away with it. That's what I wanted to know.
Consider being the primary investigator in the LAPD, handling cases involving art theft and real estate fraud, only to become the prime suspect in a murder investigation. This happened to former LAPD detective Stephanie Lazarus, leading to her conviction after 23 years. What unfolds is a tragic narrative of hidden truths, betrayal, and a tangled romantic mess that drives a police officer stuck in a love triangle to commit murder. To grasp the complication of the case, let's rewind 20 years prior to the arrest, about 4 to 8 years preceding the murder, focusing on the college years of John Rutten and Stephanie Lazarus. They were close friends and sports enthusiasts, often spending time together playfully teasing each other. Lazarus would play pranks like taking Rutten's clothes while he showered and snapping photos of him asleep. Though this might sound like harmless flirtation, Rutten perceived their relationship as more of a casual involvement. Their first sexual encounter occurred after they graduated. Rutten secured a job at a hard drive manufacturer, while Lazarus pursued her ambition to become a uniformed LAPD officer. Rutten was certain that Stephanie had never been his girlfriend. He later met Sherry Rasmussen, the director of nursing at Glendale Adventist Medical Center, and their relationship grew serious. Lazarus had resentment toward this development, even expressing her feelings to Rutten's mother in 1985. "I wish it didn't end the way it did, and I don't think I'll ever understand his decision." In her personal journal, she mourned one day upon learning of John's approaching marriage, stating, "I really don't feel like working. I found out that John's getting married." In this love triangle, John found himself torn between Rasmussen, his engaged partner, and Lazarus, who harbored deep affection for him. Despite Rasmussen being the apparent choice, John held some feelings for Lazarus. Lazarus would make unexpected visits to Rutten's home, which made his fiancée uncomfortable. On one occasion, she brought her skis to Rutten and Rasmussen's shared apartment, asking him to wax them. Despite Rasmussen's objection, Rutten complied. Rasmussen was aware of the connection between Rutten and Lazarus, questioning whether their relationship was truly over. She even confronted Lazarus, requesting her to stop visiting. However, according to Nels Rasmussen, Sherry's father, Lazarus, visited Sherry at work to imply that things weren't finished between her and John. Reportedly, Lazarus expressed, "If I can't have John, no one else will." This alarmed her father, as she also confided in him about her fear of being stalked by Lazarus on the streets. Considering Lazarus was now a uniformed officer, this fear intensified. Despite this tension, Rutten and Rasmussen tied the knot in November 1985. Now let's dive into the unsettling events of February 24th, 1986. The couple resided in a condo on Balboa Boulevard in Van Nuys. On that morning, Rutten departed for work while Rasmussen intended to skip giving a scheduled speech by calling in sick, pretending a back injury was the reason. Around 9:45 a.m., a neighbor noticed that the garage door of the house was open and that no car was parked inside. Concerned, Rutten was alerted and attempted to contact home several times, receiving no response to any of his calls. Even Rasmussen's sister reached out, yet there was no answer. Around 12:30 p.m., a maid at a nearby location reported hearing what seemed like a dispute between two individuals and a loud noise, possibly suggesting a fall or a significant impact. Later that evening, upon his return home, Rutten noticed the open garage door and realized his BMW was missing. Puzzled by Rasmussen's absence and lack of communication, Rutten grew concerned. However, it became evident that she hadn't left the house. Upon entering, Rutten discovered Rasmussen's lifeless body in the living room. She had been shot 3 times, and evidence of a struggle was apparent. The investigators uncovered several crucial details. Firstly, Rasmussen displayed defensive wounds, facial bruises, and a bite mark on her arm. Secondly, her attire, consisting of a bathrobe, nightgown, and underwear, suggested she wasn't anticipating any visitors. Thirdly, a bloody handprint was found next to the panic button of the burglar alarm. Lastly, the absence of the car was noted. Initially, detectives concluded that Rasmussen had been taken by surprise and killed during a burglary. The lead detective dismissed Rutten as a suspect despite reports from Nels Rasmussen and his wife Loretta regarding Lazarus's harassment. However, law enforcement focused primarily on the burglary angle, despite being informed about Lazarus's involvement. It's probable that, being an LAPD officer, Lazarus was a potential suspect. Yet, it seems the authorities intentionally avoided pursuing that lead and instead settled on the theory of burglary. The handling of the case by the detectives drew criticism from Rasmussen's family, who found them unhelpful. A year later, when Nels Rasmussen wrote to the LAPD chief suggesting Lazarus's potential involvement, the response was dismissive, stating he watched too much television. Even when new detectives took over, they claimed an inability to pursue further leads, expressing doubt about the possibility of uncovering any new information. Meanwhile, Lazarus continued her career with the LAPD, establishing her own private investigation firm, receiving commendations, advancing to the role of detective, relocating to Simi Valley, California, assuming a teaching position at the police academy, and marrying a fellow officer. All the while, the Rasmussen family continued in their quest for justice. In 2009, amidst declining crime rates in Los Angeles, detectives Jim Nuttall and Pete Barba dived into cold cases to boost clearance rates. They stumbled upon the Rasmussen file, a 23-year-old case, and were determined to re-examine it, convinced it was a case of murder rather than a burglary. Their conviction came from three crucial details. Firstly, Rasmussen's jewelry box remained untouched, despite being in plain sight, indicating that the motive wasn't theft. Secondly, the house was situated within a gated community where burglars would be conspicuous, making it unlikely for a burglary to occur unnoticed. Thirdly, the investigation indicated that the struggle between Rasmussen and her assailant began upstairs and then continued downstairs. Remarkably, at the top of the stairs lay a stack of stereo equipment that should have been knocked over during the struggle, but wasn't. This suggested a staged scene and premeditation rather than a spontaneous burglary. The conclusion drawn was chilling. The attacker had carefully planned the murder. The detectives considered that someone intimately familiar with crime scenes, like a police officer, would possess the know-how to stage such a scenario. The situation for detectives Nuttall and Barba was incredibly delicate as they pursued a high-ranking detective, Lazarus, in the investigation. They carefully treaded to ensure they had undisputable evidence pointing towards her. Initially ranking Lazarus as the least likely suspect among the five, they methodically eliminated all other possibilities, ultimately narrowing their focus solely on her. However, the challenge was immense. Lazarus's husband, also a detective within the LAPD's Commercial Crimes Division, and their wide network of acquaintances posed a significant risk. Any leaks about the ongoing investigation could easily reach Lazarus, jeopardizing the entire case. The murder had been committed with a .38 gun, a firearm commonly used as a backup or off-duty weapon by LAPD officers at the time. Records indicated that Lazarus owned a Smith & Wesson model 4938, the same type of weapon used in the murder. Intriguingly, this very gun had been reported stolen to the Santa Monica police just 13 days after the murder occurred. The key piece of evidence, DNA, became the last resort in building a case against Lazarus. However, obtaining a warrant for her DNA posed a significant challenge due to the potential backlash within the LAPD. To avoid this, detectives opted for a discreet approach, aiming to collect a discarded DNA sample voluntarily. During Lazarus's off-duty time, while she was running errands, she disposed of a cup she had been using. The detectives retrieved the cup and obtained the sample, which, upon analysis, conclusively matched the DNA found in the bite mark on Sherry Rasmussen. With this compelling evidence firmly pointing to Lazarus as the perpetrator, plans for her arrest were formulated and shared with superiors, including the chief of police. To ensure an unbiased investigation, the case was swiftly transferred to the Robbery Homicide Division due to their lack of personal connections or biases regarding Lazarus. This move aimed to maintain the integrity of the investigation and eliminate any potential conflicts of interest within the LAPD. The plan to search Lazarus's home in Simi Valley began with a strategic approach. Detectives Greg Stearns and Dan Jeremiah arranged to call Lazarus from the lockup at Parker Center, the LAPD's headquarters. This location was selected intentionally, as entering the premises would require her to surrender her firearm and equipment, limiting the potential for violent resistance. Upon her arrival and entry into the interrogation room, the detectives carefully framed the conversation. They presented the meeting as an inquiry into loose ends pertaining to an art theft case she was involved in, purposefully avoiding revealing the true nature of the interrogation related to the Rasmussen case. This approach aimed to prevent Lazarus from invoking her right to remain silent and withhold crucial information regarding the Rasmussen investigation. Despite discussing an art theft case, the real focus of the interrogation remained the Rasmussen case.
I don't want to talk about this in the squadron because I don't know who people are listening. And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is doing.
No problem.
Okay, but like we're talking about being busy and stuff, we've been assigned a case that we've been looking at.
Okay.
It's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Rutten?
John Rutten?
Rutten.
Oh, yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in, went to UCLA in 1978 I started and, met him at school at the dorms.
Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends. I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's a case we're working on, and it involves John, and in there, some of the statements we reviewed, there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we were good friends, I lived in the dorms for 2 years.
You guys lived in the same dorm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dykstra.
Okay. Were you guys just friends or anything else, or?
Yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah. Was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated, I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Do you know who she was or anything?
Well, it's been a long time ago. I may have met her.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me ask you. You said you dated John. How long did you guys date?
I mean, well, are you guys? Is this something? I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art, and how you guys are. I mean,
Stephanie, here's the situation. Is basically we knew that this when we saw this in this chrono that maybe there was some relationship there. That's what the chrono seemed to indicate, and we didn't want to come up to you at your desk and ask those kinds of questions or do anything. You know how up there people can see what's going on if you go into an interview room or people are in there getting supplies.
Okay.
So we wanted to afford you some privacy, some confidentiality to talk about this because we thought it might be, something, you're married to someone else, obviously, and so forth, and that you may not want to, talk about these things in that setting where someone, we don't want the rumor mill or gossip or any of that kind of stuff to start.
That's fine. I mean,
so we did this just as a means to try and speak to you in just a confidential place where where your business isn't out there for other people in your division to know about.
God, that's been a million years ago. I mean,
It's fascinating how the passage of 23 years doesn't diminish the impact of specific names. Lazarus's defensiveness when detectives raise the subject of John Rutten and Sherry Rasmussen is notable. However, the detectives skillfully navigate this by reassuring her that the discussion is intended to safeguard her privacy. This approach seemingly puts Lazarus at ease, encouraging her to reveal further details about her connections with the individuals in question.
DARE, because I met Scott when I was teaching DARE up in Oregon, but we had long stopped, dating before that.
So you haven't talked to him for a long time?
Oh, I think I haven't talked to him in a long time. I couldn't even tell you when the last time I talked to him. I met Scott, I'm thinking in 92 maybe, April of 92.
Scott being your husband?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was teaching DARE. Let's see, what year is this? We'll be married. I got married in 1996. I think I met Scott in 92. Prior to that, I couldn't tell you how long I had talked to John. But prior to that,
But since you met your husband, Scott, you hadn't talked to him?
I mean, he may have called me once or twice before we got married.
Right.
Geez, I moved to Simi in 1994 because I lost my house in the earthquake.
Oh, really?
Quite honestly, I probably keep in contact with a few people from the dorms. We all lived on the 10th floor, and there's about 3 or 4 people I keep in contact with. There's probably like 6 or 8 of us that were all really close.
And who are those people?
Oh, geez, Diana Basta, the people I still keep. I haven't been in contact with her in a long time. I mean, what's this all about? I mean.
Well, let me ask, what ended the relationship between you and John?
It was kind of a weird relationship. I mean, we dated. I can't say that he was my boyfriend. I don't know that he would consider me his girlfriend. We dated. We did things. I played sports in college. He played basketball. His brother played basketball. It just didn't work out. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It was like I went out with other guys, saw other guys. I went on lots of vacations.
And once you guys lit, were you guys still friends, or kind of,
I
problems?
mean,
Is it friendly, not friendly?
No, I don't think it was not friendly. I mean, we were friendly. I know that we went to Hawaii at one point. Another friend of mine who's actually dying right now went to Hawaii with us at some point.
Remember roughly when that was?
Geez, let me think. I'd have to check my pictures. Or I'd say I'd ask Greg, but my friend Greg is like dying of liver cancer right now. Yeah, I mean,
And you were saying that.
It's 2009 now.
Had you ever met his wife?
I may have.
Do you remember her name or anything, or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
Well, I think I'm going to say that I think she was a nurse. And I can't even remember how he said he met her. I mean, it's been so long ago.
Well, let me ask you, did you go to their wedding,
No, I didn't go to their wedding. No, did not go to their wedding. I didn't even tell you what year he got married. I mean, it's been a million years ago.
Do you ever remember if you ever talked to her? Because it seems like a lot of you who were at the school at UCLA, you guys kind of were friends during and after school, so I don't know if you guys still associated afterwards once he was married or anything.
With him? Yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, the people that were on the dorm floor, we did get-togethers. There's probably like 4 or 5. I don't think he ever came. I don't think. No, it was mostly girl. A girl named Smita, Diane. There's 2 Dianes, but the one Diane, I don't think she ever came. I kind of lost contact with her. We were good friends on the floor. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Again, I don't understand why you're talking about some guy I dated a million years ago.
Well, do you know what happened to his wife?
Yeah, I know she got killed.
What did you hear about that?
I saw a poster at work. I'm sure I spoke to him about it. I think I spoke to another friend of his about it.
And how did you first learn about that?
Jeez. Someone could have called me. I could have heard it at work. I think at one point there may have been a flyer or something. I know a good friend of his...
Were you on the job back then when that happened?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm sure I was on the job. That's why I would have heard about it with the flyer. He had a good friend, Mike Boldrick. Anyways, he may have lived in the dorms. I don't remember if that's how I met him. I may have talked to him. I mean, I don't remember how I heard. I mean, I don't even remember what year it was.
And you think you said you thought his wife was a nurse. Do you have any idea where she was working at the time, or did he ever mention that to you? Was it a hospital or a doctor's office?
I'm sure he must have mentioned it. Now that you're bringing that up, I think she worked at a hospital somewhere. And yeah, I may have met her at a hospital. I may have talked to her once or twice.
At a hospital?
Or more.
Navigating a 23-year-old case requires a delicate approach, and the detectives employ a tactic of seeking small details to trigger Lazarus's memory. Despite initially denying any acquaintance with Rasmussen, she eventually acknowledges having met her at a hospital. However, her responses become less certain when queried about her interactions with Rutten, prompting the detectives to shift focus to various individuals in her narrative. This strategic approach helps to keep the conversation fluid, especially when Lazarus expresses confusion regarding the nature of the discussion.
But being that you're you used to see John, was everything okay between you guys? I mean, there was never anything uncomfortable or anything between you and her?
I don't know. I mean, it's been so many years. I mean, uncomfortable. I mean, I can't even remember if we had a conversation. I mean, we may have. I may have seen her at his apartment. Geez, how many years ago was that? I don't even know what year she, got killed.
Where was his apartment?
On Roscoe.
Okay.
Yeah, Roscoe and east or west of DeSoto. Either east or west of DeSoto.
Do you know where he moved after? Did he move after he got married, or do you know? Or
I'm sure he did.
did you know where he was living, or?
Somewhere in the valley.
Did you ever visit him and his wife?
No.
No? Never
No.
went out to, get together, dinners, anything of that nature?
No. Like I said, his sister used to come over. His sister had come to my place. I knew his brother because his brother played basketball at Northridge. In fact, I was just coming across some pictures that I just scanned from. I take a lot of photos, like 10,000, and I just did a service where I scanned everything. And I'd seen some pictures of his brother playing basketball.
Well, you just put them all on your computer so you could have them accessible and do things with them?
Well, my partner is a big photo thing, and he had a deal to scan. So I spent a ton of time just scanning photos. I paid a company to do it. So I've got photos of, his brother, his sister, of
10,000 pictures?
Oh, yeah.
How long did that take them?
Months.
Now, what do they put that on a? I'm just curious myself. Do they put it on a? They get all on one DVD? They don't need like a hard drive or anything?
No. There's I think 11 DVDs. Yeah, I don't even have time.
It's a series of DVDs that they put them on?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got.
I'm not that familiar with computer stuff, so that's why I was asking.
It's like 11 DVDs.
Oh, okay.
So, I haven't had a chance to go through them. You could go through and pick which ones you don't want. I don't have time to do that.
Right.
So like you said, did I, I don't think we ever socialized. He'd still call me. I can't say that I would. If he's married, I don't know that I would have called him. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. It's been a million years ago.
How long was John married before his wife died?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
And, after his wife died, did you talk to him again or anything?
Yeah, I did talk to him. I talked to him, probably his parents, probably some other friends. I'm sure I talked to him.
Yeah.
But you're not sure where he moved to after he got married?
No idea.
Never went over to visit him or
I don't think.
meet his
I
wife,
don't think so. I don't know. I don't think I did. I know he lived on Roscoe for a long, long time. I may know. He may have told me where they lived, somewhere in the valley. He may have said I lived over such and such, but I couldn't tell you specifically where.
But you don't remember specifically ever going over to visit him or visit them at wherever he moved when he left Roscoe?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't think so, but
okay.
I don't want to say no, I don't think so, and then he says, oh yeah, she came over for something, dropped something off. I don't know.
So if you did go over there, just be like a quick thing, like you're saying, drop something off, or
maybe.
But you don't remember as far as going there to have dinner or like a social, anything at the house, party?
Well, if you guys know something, I can't, I don't know. I don't think so.
After John's wife died, you said you may have been talking to him. Did your relationship start up again?
I would say no. Again, can you give me a year? This is like 2009.
She died in 1986?
Yeah, I think it was 86.
1986.
Okay. Like I said, I'm faintly remembering that I went to Hawaii with my friend Greg. Greg and I got certified for scuba diving. And I'm thinking that John met us there, meaning Greg and I. That could have been, I got certified toward the end of 88, 88, 89, because I got recertified again. And it had been like over 10 years. So I got recertified. My husband and I got recertified. And I'm pretty sure that John met us there. Again, I'd have to tell you what year it was, I'd have to look at my pictures. And other than that, I can't even say. He may have called me, at my home. I may have called him. I don't think he got together with our group.
You don't think after his wife's death?
Or even before, I don't. We went to weddings together.
Did you?
I got pictures. Like I said, I couldn't tell you years. It's been a million years ago.
Photographs can be compelling evidence to establish the depth of Lazarus's connections with Rutten and Rasmussen. While she's providing information during the interrogation, a search warrant is already in motion, allowing detectives to gather more evidence related to Lazarus's involvement. As the conversation veers towards Lazarus's scuba diving certification and encounters with John in Hawaii, it unintentionally provides the detectives with additional leads to investigate her connections further. Eventually, the interrogation dives into specifics surrounding Rasmussen's death, an important phase where the detectives aim to gather more details and verify or challenge Lazarus's account with existing evidence.
I don't know what to tell you on that.
I mean, when you heard about John's wife being killed, I mean, what was your reaction? I mean, you thought you heard about it, what, through a friend or in a bulletin or
Either
something?
a friend or a bulletin. I called the family. I called maybe some of his friends that I knew, and I mean, obviously it shocked you if I heard it at work, which I may have. I faintly remember a bulletin going around, either that or somebody called me. I honestly don't remember.
Right.
And then I probably called his family. I don't know initially. I can't say if I initially spoke to him or not. I honestly don't remember. I may have said to somebody, "Hey, have him call me if he wants to talk," and then he may have done that.
Do you know what the circumstances were regarding her death?
Geez, let me think back. I don't know if it was, a burglary or something. It's been so many years. I can faintly think that I may have saw a flyer.
Yeah.
May have had her picture on it. That's why I say, if somebody had called me, I may not have known what her last name was. I may have. Maybe if you told me, I would remember it.
Do you remember her first name?
Shelley, Sherry, I don't know, something maybe, like I said, it's been so many years, and
from all the years, as far as you can remember, do you remember ever talking to her?
Well, I said earlier, I may have, I may have talked to her.
You mentioned a hospital, maybe. You may have talked to her at a hospital.
Yeah, I may have. I'm thinking back now. You guys are bringing up all these whole memories.
No, it kind of dusts off the cuff.
Geez. I'm thinking that because we would date. He would date other people. I would date other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at one point, he may have been dating her, or I don't know. Maybe he was married. I don't even remember. And I'm like, what? Why are you calling me if you're either dating her or living with her or married to her? Because I honestly don't remember the time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, come on, knock it off. And now I'm thinking I may have gone to her and say, hey, you know what? Is he dating you? He's bothering me. And so I'm thinking that we had a conversation about that. One or two, maybe. It could have been three. I don't want to say I had 3 conversations with her.
Like at her work or at their house or.
No, I'm thinking that he obviously must have told me where she worked. I'm thinking it was a hospital somewhere in L.A. And I could have been, again, what year was that? Where was I working? I'm trying to think of when did you say they got married?
I don't know. I think it was like in 85 or 86 or something like that. We just kind of picked this up. We don't know a lot about it.
I could have been working in Hollywood, it sounds like, if that's where I was working. So I could have said, okay, well, and I went and talked to her and just said, hey, you know what, if he's dating you, he keeps calling me, why don't you tell him to knock it off or whatever? And, because I probably would have told him to knock it off.
You would have told John?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would have said, hey, and again.
But you wanted to tell her, too? You wanted them both to know?
Yeah, if you're getting called, and I'm faintly remembering when Scott moved in with me in 1993, sometime in 93, because I met Scott in April of 92. I was teaching DARE up in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's intriguing how Lazarus attempts to twist the narrative, asserting that Rutten pursued her and suggesting that Rasmussen wanted her to withdraw. However, the reality contrasts with her version of events, with evidence suggesting a different dynamic. Her discussion about the timeline, whether it occurred in 93 or 94, becomes a point of conflict, yet it serves as an introduction to addressing the crucial topic of the alleged burglary.
Let me ask you, did the detectives ever reach out to you?
No one's ever talked to me. I don't think anybody ever talked to me about him.
It seems like back then you would have been...
Well, I'm thinking that I did talk to a detective. Well, what division was it?
In Van Nuys?
And where was I working?
1986?
I would have been working in Devonshire. I'm thinking that I did speak to somebody.
Oh, really?
I couldn't tell you who it was.
Because it doesn't say anything.
It was probably on the phone.
Okay.
Would it have been somebody in regards to this, or just...
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't even know if you said a name if I would remember it, because I worked Van Nuys for a while.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I worked.
Detectives patrol?
No, worked detectives.
Considering the pressure from Rasmussen's family for officers to engage with Lazarus, and the suggestion that she faintly recalls speaking to someone, it raises interesting possibilities. The faint recollection could indeed imply that someone may have been involved in assisting her with a potential cover-up. Yet, at this juncture, with incomplete information, it's challenging to determine the extent or nature of that interaction.
But you didn't have any issues with her, right?
No, I mean, obviously, if he was dating me and dating her, I probably said, "Hey, pick" or something,
Fair.
back
That's
then.
fair.
I can't say that we ever screamed or I mean, he was a pretty mellow guy. I think I was pretty mellow. I don't think we had some big, huge blow up to say, why we stopped dating or, and I even think that when I was dating him, I was probably, like I said, I was probably going out with other guys and he was probably going out with other girls.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, would you remember if she snapped on you and just like, hey man, it's my man, you get it, leave him alone, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff? And would you remember an incident like that? I mean, because that would be like, what?
Well, and maybe that happened. I mean, gosh, it's been so long ago. I mean, that's not ringing a bell.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because the times I've seen you around at our office,
I'm crazy.
but you're always kind of like real. I mean, you seem kind of bubbly.
Oh, people think I'm really hyper, but I can get upset, and then I forget 5 seconds later, how guys razz you and you go, I mean, I've done that in the office, but it's like, and then I'm, I mean, people
Water
think,
under the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, it's like people think I'm crazy, and then they think I'm crazy at home, and I'm a hyper person at work. I enjoy my job. I get excited. I enjoy the job. I've always enjoyed the job.
Well, you got a good gig, so.
It's fascinating that Lazarus's behavior when upset was notable among her fellow detectives, to the extent that they coined a nickname, Spadzarus, in reference to her. Given the information she has shared about the past, it appears the detectives have gathered enough details to move forward. Now, it seems vital for them to reveal the truth to her and confront her with the evidence they've gathered in the investigation.
No.
Attacking her attacking you?
No.
Nothing like that?
No, I mean, no.
Nothing?
No, not at all.
Well, on some of the, on this case, it occurred in '86, right? Detectives processed the scene, things of that nature. They did fingerprints and all that stuff. You know the standard stuff. I mean, you've been doing this longer than I have.
Well, I don't know about that. I got 26 years on, going on 26.
19, so. But as they processed everything, they did the best they could at that time, and they looked at a lot of people and different things in this case. And you're right.
I mean, if you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then I got a problem with that.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, hey, I'm a suspect. Well, now I got a problem with now you're accusing me of this. Is that what you're saying?
We're trying to figure out what happened, Stephanie.
Well, I'm just saying, do I need to get a lawyer if you're accusing me of this?
You don't have to. I mean, you're here of your own free will. I mean,
no. I know, but I mean,
you're not under arrest. You can walk out.
You can leave whenever you like.
Well, but I'm trying to give you some background of how I knew him, and now you're telling me that somebody's saying that we had this big old fight, and I don't even know what you're talking about. And I don't want to get in trouble for something that I didn't even do, or you're saying I did something.
Okay.
Yeah, we understand.
I mean, how would you guys like it if the tables were turned on you?
I understand. No.
No, that's what we're telling you. I mean, you're free to go whenever you want. If this makes you uncomfortable and you want to,
now you're starting to make me uncomfortable.
The thing is, I mean, detectives did what they could at that time on the crime scene. Okay, and the burglary thing you're talking about, that is an angle that they looked at. But now we're looking at everything else on the case. Nobody was ever arrested on the case.
I don't know that or not.
Now, what we'd like to do is, obviously about all the DNA stuff and things of the nature that, gets done on cases nowadays. If we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe, because now
because
now I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer. I mean...
Well,
Because I know how this stuff works, okay? Don't get me wrong, you're right, I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I wish I had been recording this because now it sounds like, there's, you're selling these people saying I'm fighting with her, and now it sounds like you're trying to, I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
We know.
Okay? And now it almost sounds like you're trying to pin something on me.
No,
now I got that sense.
Well, what it gets to on these cases, and you know it as well as I do, our job is to identify and eliminate suspects.
I can't believe this.
So if we ask you to the point, give us a DNA sample, a buccal swab, so we can identify or eliminate you, would you be willing to do that?
Maybe. Because I know this,
Well, that's where we're at to. I mean, because right now, from looking at the evidence, it's possible we may have some DNA at the location.
That's great.
And we're going to do what we can to try to put this thing together. And your name's in the book. These people are pointing at you for whatever reason.
I don't know why. That's crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
And it would be irresponsible on our part not to look at it.
I know. You guys have to do your job, and I guess I'm going to have to contact somebody. So
That's fair.
I mean, because I know how this stuff works. I
Sure.
mean, I just can't believe it.
We understand that. I mean, if we were in your position, I mean, we would feel the same way.
I just can't even believe it. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that somebody would be saying that I did this. I mean, we had a fight, and so I went and killed her. I mean, come on. That's...
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for giving me the courtesy. I wish I could record it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Stephanie, take care.
All right.
The dynamics have shifted significantly. Initially, Lazarus's disclosures were voluntary, made without the formal context of an official interrogation. However, with the request for DNA samples, she opted to leave the room. This action holds considerable weight, as it signifies a change in the nature of the interaction. Upon her return, only 2 minutes later, Lazarus is officially brought back into the room for interrogation.
This is absolutely crazy.
Have a seat, Stephanie.
This is insane.
Okay. Okay, Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
Yes.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
All right.
Okay.
This
then.
is crazy. This is absolutely... I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
It's quite a turn of events, as Lazarus ultimately exercises her right to remain silent and promptly leaves the interrogation room, leading to what might indeed be one of the shortest interrogations. However, her departure doesn't halt the course of the investigation, as she's officially placed under arrest and held in the Los Angeles County Jail. Following her arrest, the Simi Valley police officers proceeded to search Lazarus's home and car. Among their discoveries in her house is a journal dating back to the mid-1980 containing numerous entries expressing her deep affection for Rutten and her distress regarding his engagement to Rasmussen. Surprisingly, there were no mentions of her stolen gun in the journal. Additionally, her computer history revealed multiple searches for Rutten's name on the internet during the late 1990s, shedding light on her ongoing interest and involvement with him over the years. These findings provided further insights into Lazarus's emotional state and her continued connections to the individuals central to the case. The aftermath of Lazarus's arrest unfolded with several legal plots. Her early retirement was allowed, accompanied by a hefty bail amount of $10 million in cash set by Judge Robert J. Perry. However, Lazarus's attorney, Mark Overland, challenged the judge's comprehension of the case, moving to dismiss the entire case. Overland argued that the initial investigator failed to identify Lazarus as a suspect, highlighting missing components from the original file, such as interview recordings, Sherry Rasmussen's blood toxicology report, and an alleged failed polygraph test by Rutten. He emphasized Nell Rasmussen's belief in Lazarus's involvement at the time of the murder and his efforts to push the LAPD to take that theory seriously. Overland contended that due to this investigative failure, Lazarus's rights to due process had been infringed upon, asserting that the quality of evidence had deteriorated over the 23-year period. The legal battle continued even after the denial of the appeal, as Lazarus's attorney, Overland, sought to challenge the validity of the search warrants used for Lazarus's home, vehicle, and workplaces. Overland contended that these warrants were based on outdated information and failed to establish a solid connection between the search locations and the likelihood of discovering relevant evidence. He emphasized that Lazarus had only moved to her current residence in 1994, 8 years after the murder, and the warrant affidavit lacked substantial reasoning for expecting evidence to be found there. However, this motion was also denied, leading to the commencement of the trial in 2012. During the trial, prosecutors put forward the motive behind the murder, positing that Lazarus was driven by jealousy over Sherry Rasmussen's relationship with Rutten. Prosecutor Shannon Presby summarized the case in his opening statement, highlighting key evidence: a bite, a bullet, a gun barrel, and a broken heart. That's the evidence that will prove to you that defendant Stephanie Lazarus murdered Sherry Rasmussen. The trial held an emotional moment when Rutten testified, displaying deep emotions and tears, especially while recounting his engagement with Rasmussen. He openly admitted that engaging in a sexual relationship with Lazarus while he was engaged to Rasmussen was a significant mistake. After several days of deliberation in March 2012, Lazarus, then 52, was found guilty of first-degree murder and subsequently sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. She is currently serving her sentence at the California Institution for Women in Corona. Considering the time served before the trial, she becomes eligible for parole in December of 2034. Stephanie Lazarus managed to avoid consequences for nearly 23 years, but the dedication and persistence of the two detectives who picked up the cold case brought closure by ensuring her imprisonment. Their efforts helped put an end to the evasion of justice by this former LAPD officer. Remember, it's your curiosity that fuels this channel. Keep exploring, stay inspired, and join us for more amazing content next time.